fans are spoiled. And I love our race fans, but think about other sports for a second.
Are NASCAR fans spoiled? I think this has actually become a bit of a talking point in the last week and last couple months, and I think it's a growing sentiment and storyline among industry members and media members. But is it true? We've known forever that NASCAR fans are just never happy. You know it, I know it, they know it, we all know it. And it doesn't matter where or when they came into the sport from. It's old fans are going to say it died in 2001, that it's those stinking Toyotas, all these other problems. If it's newer fans or younger fans, they hate the package. They don't like the personalities. All of these things through the years have been talking points among fans and how they complain. And at times, I think this drowns out actual valid criticism of the sport. And that's what I want to say. Yes, there are a lot of hating and haters in the sport, but I do think there's a lot of valid criticism that gets overshadowed because people say, quote, you're a hater, you're complaining, or whatever. If the sky is falling all the time, then it's status quo. It makes it harder to sift out the legit criticism is basically my point here. And it allows those in the sport and media to downplay whatever they really want to, whatever fits a narrative. And I think that this is how tons of fans will view what has been said recently. Whether it's Joey Logano saying that the fans are spoiled for not liking the amount of access or lack thereof that is in NASCAR anymore, whether it's members of the media, however well-intentioned, writing that NASCAR fans are never satisfied with the racing, or that NASCAR fans are spoiled because of the short-term high we've had, I think that, to me, nothing has changed. This is NASCAR fans. There is nothing, I think, when it comes to their sentiment that's changed since 2024 to 2014 to 2004 to 1994. I talked to people who were fans in all of those eras. I was a fan in most of that time, and I can tell you it sounds exactly the same as the conversations that I've had on message boards, in person, seen people have online. It's a constant. The only difference is now it can be amplified. NASCAR fans complain and are critical and are also a very segmented and fractured fan base. There are fans who want to go back to the old school chase. Some want to go back to the Winston Cup format, the Latford format. Some want to keep the playoffs. That's just how they're segmented and fractured on the playoff side. Some like super speedways, others don't. This is normal for fan bases. Every sporting league and racing series has a fan base like this, and if they don't, they're not big enough really to talk about. Modern culture, especially online, is exactly the same. It's just now with Twitter, with YouTube, with Reddit, you can see it more than ever. And I really want to kind of talk about what a friend of mine from CBS, Steven Toronto, had been posting over the last couple months and found. And these were different threads on different forums from, I'd say, the early to mid 2000s, maybe the late 90s, and they look straight out of 2024. It's complaining about the popular driver. It's complaining about super speedways, horsepower. All of the same conversations we have had for the last 20 years are all there 20 to 30 years ago. It's all the same. I think that nowadays, people and entities online, you can just see more of them, and they can come across your feed now more than ever with how ruined social media has become, especially Twitter or X or whatever the hell you want to call it, which I think NASCAR is really big on as an industry. You see them put a lot of emphasis on that platform and what people say there. But I'm just going to say what we all know. Twitter isn't real. It's a saying that's been all over the internet, and it needs to hold true here. Yeah, you might see a lot of complaining in your tweets, on the replies, quote tweets, whatever. It's not real. It's a bunch of people behind a screen who, more often than not, would not say this stuff with their own voice, let alone to your face. Social media really fixates on hypercriticism. Listen, I've had that same problem on YouTube. I will fully admit that. Fans will complain about not liking something, ignore valid points, and then complain when somebody has the points that they already were championing. It's just the nature of social media to have this happen, and we live in an outrage culture. Doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on, who you're a fan of in sports, what you like, where you're from. It's an outrage culture. I think we can all agree on that. So, to me, I think NASCAR fans have always been spoiled in some way. I don't think it's a question when it comes to that, but rather a question asking if it's necessarily a bad thing. And I think what we got to look at is perspective here between the media industry and drivers compared to the fans, all of which have different perspectives, but generally those working in the industry are going to have a different way of looking at things. For many, they've been in it a long time. It's a job. They commit to it. It's their livelihood. So they take it to heart, and rightfully so, when people criticize that. Smaller things for fans that they might get upset with don't matter to them because they don't really impact too much what happens in their day-to-day life or even year-to-year life. And when their lives revolve around NASCAR, which, listen, it's fine, I think that they're going to have a unique outlook that might be difficult to explain to the fan base. And on the fan side, well, this is not their whole life. This is more or less an escape. Yeah, diehards like myself live and breathe NASCAR, but at the same time, most people who live and breathe NASCAR do not have their daily lives changed depending on big things or small things. It's kind of like when you look at NFL teams, for instance. You might have a really good uniform, and you love the uniform of your team. It's iconic, and then they modernize it or change it. And if it's bad, people hate it. It doesn't change the game at all. It doesn't change what the players do. It doesn't change any of the offensive or defensive schemes. It doesn't change the final score at the end of the game. But you don't like looking at it. It's kind of how I look at, say, the numbers being moved from the middle of the door to the front. I don't like it. I think it's ugly. It doesn't change a damn thing that happens on the racetrack. And I think that these smaller changes are a bigger deal for fans rather than, say, if Honda jumped in, it's not really going to change much. It's not going to change really what they look at except for new cars or new looking cars, but it's not going to be that big of a change compared to the aesthetic changes they see. Overall, I just don't like this back and forth. I think that it's something that hurts overall the sport. It hurts both older fans who might feel alienated by the media, a media that they probably don't trust because generally people don't trust the media anymore. Again, doesn't matter where you come from. And it hurts newer fans because they come in to just see, wow, I voiced my opinion, and it immediately gets shut down. I think it kind of gives off an elitist perspective of the media from the fans, even though that's not what's going on. And fans generally see NASCAR media as being very lax on the sanctioning body, so this doesn't help, no matter how well-intentioned, because some might call out the fans, where others, like the Ryan McGee article, I think were actually pretty good in pointing out the pros and the cons of everything that's happened. I just think overall, though, it's a stupid argument. Nothing is going to change. We've had the same conversations in the fan base for 20, 30, 40 years, probably further back than that. I'm just not old enough to know. And we're going to have it for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, especially the direction the internet and the culture are going. So there's really no point in people lashing out at the fan base or fans constantly barraging people that they disagree with. Just turn off the phone, turn off the computer, and walk away. But now I want to ask what you think. Do you think NASCAR fans are spoiled, or do you think the media is blowing this way out of proportion? Let me know down in the comments below, and while you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great NASCAR content. Thanks so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.